Welcome to Family Focus, a program produced by Family Service Association. Thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of the program. I'm your host, Mike Moran, and here we are in the month of March, and we hope that you're all enjoying what was the start of a new year. Now we're well into it, almost done with the first quarter, and we have a great guest for you, and we're going to share some time with today. And I've been wanting for some time to have him on. I'm chuckling because we had a situation where our guest was scheduled and we had to make a last-minute change, not because of him, but because of me. And now he's back. Let's introduce for the first time on the program, but a gentleman that I've known for a long, long time. He's Christian McCloskey, and he is the Youth Services Coordinator for the City of Fall River. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you for having me as your guest.
Jacket and tie, you walked in the studio and I said, is that the guy I know? It is.
All my jeans are dirty.
No, okay, all right, very well. Okay, thanks for being on the program. I wanted to give our audience a sense of so many of the things that are going on in the city of Fall River that involve youth. And you'll tell me, I don't know whether the wintertime things get a little quieter than they are in the summer. Is the summer, fall, and spring the time for most of your activities? Certainly not all.
Well, really school year. Everything I do is really to promote positive youth development, and very fortunate to collaborate with a lot of community partners, including the Fall River Public Schools. So everything I do is to try to increase the positive people, places, opportunities, and support for all young people.
Well, what reminded me of the need to bring you on the program was you and I were sitting about this far apart at a meeting of the Partners for a Healthier Community, which is an incredible committee made up of social service and healthcare professionals in the community. And you were sort of reporting on some of the activities that you were involved with out of your office. And I said, this guy is a busy man. We'll get to all that. I first want to find out, and I ask pretty much every guest that comes on the program, and sometimes we feature our community partners, such as yourself. Sometimes we feature staff from our agency's own programs. How did you get started in this field? What was the calling that you got that you wanted to be involved in the social service, healthcare field, youth services? How did that all begin?
Well, from Durfee, I applied to one college, Northeastern University, for criminal justice, and my goal was to go into the FBI or CIA, and that really worked out well. Or maybe it did. And while at Northeastern, I started working part-time at St. Vincent's Home. So
there's
commute. So ever since 1991 until present, I've been working at St. Vincent's Home. So it's learning to work with youth and for youth. And then ever since then after Northeastern, decided to go to law school. And then that worked out just as well too.
Okay.
And then after passing the bar, which I did, I saw the opportunity for a youth services coordinator. So I was very excited to be able to, or an opportunity to apply for working with youth in Fall River. So it was in November in 2002, and got that magical phone call from then Mayor Lambert saying, congratulations.
You're the guy.
Yes.
And you haven't looked back. You've been in that position ever since.
Yes.
Clearly through a number of administrations.
Yes.
What is it about working with youth? Because there are some people that may be very dedicated to whatever profession, but they say, I always wanted to work with the geriatric population, or I always wanted to get involved in working with couples and families and so forth. But youth services is pretty unique. That was just where you felt that your talents and your experience would take you.
I think just realizing the difference that you can make in the life of a child. Yeah. Just seeing that smile on his or her face and letting them know that there is a caring adult who really wants them to succeed and thrive in life.
Well, if you bring that attitude to the table, that is going to carry very, very far. And I'm sure that you deal with the misunderstandings that people may have. People reach a certain age and they may say, well, these kids, or they hear about someone maybe in their neighborhood who has gotten into some trouble, and it makes them maybe not have a clear enough vision that there's a lot of kids that are doing some great things and contributing mightily to their schools, to their neighborhoods, to their families. And you're here to tell that side of the story, which is an important one to tell.
Well, it's a good segue with, so there are some adults who think that youth should be seen and not heard,
Right.
But we're really all about the youth voice and youth empowerment. And oftentimes youth are undervalued or underappreciated, but they are a true asset and one of our, if not most important, resource in the community.
Was there someone that's serving in that position prior to you, or was it created under Mayor Lambert's administration? Because I'm just wondering how much of the activities that you immersed yourself in were sort of ready-made, and how much did you have to sort of design your own approach to what you would do in the community and how you would fulfill the responsibilities of the job?
I'm not sure if the position was created under Mayor Mitchell or Mayor Lambert. So I
Okay.
think there were two previous youth services coordinators.
I see.
There was a mayor's youth council, and that position, I think they did work closely with the schools.
Right.
So it's not only with the schools, but also all the other social serving agencies such as Family Service Association, Boys and Girls Club, YMCA, Recreation. Really our mantra is it takes a village.
Right, right.
And we've been using that for every grant that we apply for or any award that we're looking to apply for.
Sure, and they know you in all of those organizations and others that you mentioned. And you know, you mentioned St. Vincent's Home, excuse me, and Family Service Association had a pretty strong presence for a number of years at St. Vincent's, and working with the staff there and working with the young people who were the recipients of service at St. Vincent's, doing some clinical work and so forth. So you probably had a good deal of interaction with a number of our staff during those years.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So you have an office at Government Center.
Yes, I do.
Those of us of a certain age say City Hall. But I'm guessing you don't spend much time there. Knowing you as I do, you're out and about in the community doing a whole lot of
building
things.
relationships with the partners and collaborating, and how can we work in the best interest of the children.
Yeah. So what's a typical day like for you, or is there no such animal? Because you've got your finger in a lot of different pies, and I'll get to it, talk about some of the grants that you're involved in implementing, the services that are funded by grant, thinking the Shannon grant and others, because I know that's kind of key to some of the activities that you do. But is there a typical day? Are there things, or is it sort of a seasonal thing where this time it's...
Go in, check the email, what information can I share with partners? Is there going to be a toy drive, a coat drive to get that information out? Is there a training session with professional development opportunities for staff? So it's going through that, and how do we promote that, and been utilizing Facebook and social media as a means to just get the word out. Each year for a Wish Come True, we do an envelope stuffing at the Boys and Girls Club.
Wow.
And before it used to be an email, but now it's as simple as you post it on Facebook, and what used to take 2 days to complete the task, now it can be done in an hour and a half. And I'm very fortunate to have a very good group of friends and coworkers who always step up with whatever request or need I may have.
Do you have a staff, or you? I mean, I think of you as sort of the face of youth services from the city. Are you kind of a one-man operation?
Youth services is staffed by one.
and you're the guy.
Correct.
Yeah. So you take the call and say, "Let me see if he's in." Let's talk a little bit about, and I just mentioned a moment ago, the Charles Shannon grant, which, and you'll fill in the blanks for me. It's geared toward, it's a state grant that helps communities to establish programs that address and reduce and combat youth violence. What is your role and the role of the partners with whom you work in implementing the activities that are associated with that grant?
So the city receives 2 violence prevention grants. We're very fortunate to have a strong local delegation who helps secure the fund. So the Shannon Community Safety Initiative, we're about to embark on year 14, and the Safe and Successful Youth Initiative has been around since 2011.
Right.
So I coordinate both those grants and then work with different social service providers and the police department. So under the Shannon grant, that's really, and unfortunately both are very, very targeted as far as the population that they're working with. So under the Shannon grant, it's those young men and women who are high risk for gang involvement. Right. But both are based on positive youth development, and with Shannon, it's a comprehensive, multidisciplinary approach. It's no one agency or one approach can solve all of the youth violence and gang problems. Right. So the police department can't arrest their way out of it. Social service providers can't prevent everything. So it's a mixture of social intervention, jobs and opportunities, community mobilization, and suppression. So there is a law enforcement component with the police department, sheriff's, DA's office, and parole, but the majority of the Shannon grant is building relationships with the youth and then connecting them to positive opportunities. So whether it's getting involved in programs at the Boys and Girls Club, having employment opportunities through mass hire youth connections, therapeutic mentoring through family services. Right. So it's developing the relationships with the youth and plugging them into the different opportunities.
Boy, and I mean, you, in giving it that description, you make a very tough job sound easy. Oh, that you know, you get all these, build all these relationships, you've said it several times, and that these things are going to happen. But it really does take, I would imagine, a lot of ingenuity and a lot of persistence.
Yes, with both grants, it's a population that doesn't necessarily want the services or just doesn't have enough caring adults. So it's the caring adults theme. If we go back to America's Promise with the 5 promises, I always felt that the most important promise was the caring adults. And we're right in the middle of, or towards the end of, National Mentoring Month, but the more caring adults and caring people that you can have in a young person's life, the more likely they will succeed.
And you yourself have been a mentor probably to hundreds of kids, but in a more formal sense, you've been involved personally in mentoring programs, have you not?
Through both Smiles and Big Friends, Little Friends. Trying to think how many years ago with Ramona through
Right.
Family Service.
See, and for those of us who work in this community, in this field, you say Ramona, and can only mean one person, Ramona Turcott, who for many, many years dedicated herself to mentoring. And it was a program that for a number of years was through the, before Big Friends, Little Friends was the Big Brothers, Big Sisters program, which now has sort of, as of about 2 years ago, kind of came in and reabsorbed the Big Friends, Little Friends program and is doing an outstanding job in providing mentoring. I want to talk maybe a little bit about that experience of being a mentor to another, one-on-one to another child and young person, and what that's meant to you. We're going to take a very short time out for a break, however. We thank you for watching Family Focus. This is a program that's really about bringing some of the community's strengths to your attention as our viewers. We will reintroduce our guest in just a moment and resume our discussion, but we'll take a short time out for this word and be right back. You're watching Family Focus. Please stay tuned.
I'm Carol Nagel, President and CEO of Family Service Association. A lot has changed since the day when our agency began its long journey of providing services to our community. In the beginning, our mission was a simple one: to provide caring and helpful services designed to improve the lives of the individuals and families who live and work here. And while the programs we provide have changed over the years, and the problems facing the community have become more challenging, Family Service is still here 125 years later to answer the call. As we look to the future, we'll continue to work together with our many community partners and to find new and better ways to bring our services to those who need them. Whether it's providing a warm, welcoming learning environment for preschool children, offering professional counseling, or helping elders maintain their good health and independence, Family Service remains committed to the spirit of that very same mission of service that guided us when we took those few steps in 1888. Please visit our website and learn more about our agency, its programs, and our long history of service to the community.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for tuning into this edition of Family Focus. We do want to thank, as we always do on the program, our friends in our host studio here at the campus of Bristol Community College in Fall River, and the good people at FRC Media, Fall River Community Media, for assisting us in the production of this program. And Christian, our guests may not know this, but we are on, right now, 14 affiliate stations throughout the region. So if you're watching in Dartmouth, New Bedford, in Taunton, in Rainham, in Seekonk, and a lot of other communities, Westport has been with us from the very beginning. You may not be aware, you may not have a Christian McCloskey, but you've got perhaps some community services out of your town hall or city hall where youth services are coordinated, and that's exactly who is here. Christian McCloskey is the Youth Services Coordinator for the City of Fall River, and an old friend, and we're happy. This is your first appearance on this program.
Yes.
How have you eluded this?
Caller ID.
Oh, darn, there it is. I should have known. Don't be funnier than the host. But we are talking serious business because just before the break, I wanted to ask Christian about your own experience as working in the many committees and with the many partners that you have in the community is a very special role. But you've done some one-on-one mentoring in both, and you mentioned the Big Friends, Little Friends program, and also the Smiles mentoring program, which is operated now out of People Incorporated. As you well know, maybe not everybody at home knows. What has that experience been like for you?
Very rewarding. Like I mentioned earlier, it's just seeing that smile on the young person's face and just realizing that they're really happy to see you. So it's almost like when you come home and see the dog wagging the tail, and it's just knowing that they're happy to see you and just knowing that you're making a difference in their life.
Yeah, and young people are very accepting in that regard.
Yes.
If they can, but you still have to build that relationship of trust and of friendship and befriending, and because if you're not sincere with it, they'll know.
They can see right through that very easily.
Let's talk about some of the things that are, here we are in the month of March. Are there any special events that are going on this month? And granted, some of the people at home may be watching this program either on their television, their phone, their computer, and it might be later in the month. But if they're catching us at the beginning of the month of March, what's going on this month?
So March 19th is Absolutely Incredible Kid Day. It's a call to action for adults to write letters or just tell a young person how important and how special they are. Been doing that at St. Vincent's for over 15 years, and the last couple of years, the Fall River Public School Systems has really bought into this notion and has really kicked it up a notch.
Really?
And so they have special days, there are special activities planned for this year because it's a special day. And verbally telling a youth how special they are, it's really nice, but when you're writing the letter, that's something tangible that they can have for the rest of their life. So if they're not feeling so good, at St. Vincent's, some of the youth have it on their door, like, you're a wonderful person, I like spending time with you. It's just a reminder how special they are. And last year, through the Youth Empowerment Task Force, we did something different in which it was a peer-to-peer. So peers were going on Instagram or leaving anonymous notes just saying, I hope you have a great day. You're a really good guy.
Just a little something to raise your self-esteem.
Yes.
And it's fun. People might say, well, the kids really need that. Well, guess what? Adults need that too. And if you're on social media, and if you go on Facebook and you see a lot of inspirational sayings and memes and things that people post because they want to share some good positive thoughts. There's a lot of negativity out there in the world, and And I just, to get a little bit more serious about when you talked about earlier the working with at-risk youth and those who may be susceptible to gang involvement, how do you turn a life around like that when someone is maybe sending the vibe to you, if they're not verbally saying it? Well, that gang, that gives me some identity, that gives me some sense of belonging. You have to replace that with a more positive sense of belonging, but that's a huge. I mean, how do you go about
It's
that?
a very slow process, but very strategic, and just commit and just over and over, and just, you may not be ready now, but I'll be here for you when you are ready.
And you set the example that there's a better way, there's a better road to go down.
So it's, and like you said, it's this replacing the activities that they're doing with something more positive
Right.
and more productive. So is it a job? Is it getting them into a basketball league? Is it getting them a therapeutic mentor with another caring adult who can then spend quality time with them and say, well, let's try to find you a job. Let's try to do some college research, or just that one-on-one time
Right.
is very, very
How do
key.
I fill out a job application? How do I get my driver's license? How do I interact with people in a way that's going to be positive? How do I hold my head up high and communicate well verbally and with the written word? And if you point young people in that direction, my guess is that their self-esteem is clearly going to improve, and they're going to make some better choices in
Yes.
life. Talk about the High Five program.
So
I run into you every year at that.
High Five is the way the Fall River Public Schools and community partners welcome elementary schools back. In this past 2 years, it's been in August, and it's just a way to really stress the importance of attending school every day. And with the elementary school, it's, some people don't want to go through the line, but by the time they're at the end of the line, they're chock full of smiles, and it's a positive way to kick off the school year.
Let's set the stage for those who don't know what it is. And it's funny, when I first learned about it, and people sometimes say to me, they give me a look when you use the word gauntlet. What happens is you get people from the professional community, whether they work in, that you're going to, and they're encouraged to wear the wardrobe that they wear on the job. So we see police officers, firefighters, nurses, doctors, teachers, car salesmen, insurance salesmen, shoe salesmen, everybody and anybody, to line up at the entrance of a school on the first day of school and to give a high five to those who want it and those who want to return it, and giving them some applause, and as you said a moment ago, some encouragement to start the school year off great. That's a very cool thing. Now this has been happening for how many years now?
I think this is our third year.
And this January, just 3 months ago,
We've the
It
past
expanded.
2 years, we've welcomed the middle schools. They're definitely not as receptive, and it's tough right after the Christmas break.
Right.
And sometimes it's very, very cold, but we have the community support still going out there. And once again, the mantra of it takes a village, and that
Yeah.
we are here for you. And
Right.
I think our theme for next year is going to be Strive for Five, with just really focusing on attendance and just really looking to not miss more than 5 days throughout the whole year.
Right.
With the chronic absenteeism, when it starts early, it just continues. So by the time they're in high school, they've missed almost like a full year of school if they
Right.
miss
Sure.
more than
Oh,
18
sure.
days.
In the time we have remaining, Christian, is there anything that you want to promote? Because I know that as we head, soon it's going to be spring, and I would imagine that your calendar, in terms of the things that, the pies that you have your fingers in, start to increase. Summer months, working as you stated earlier, with recreation, with a lot of other organizations in the community.
So with the Youth Empowerment Task Force, last year, it was created to really bring the community together to try to get as much support for both the students and youth and their families. There was a big event at the Boys and Girls Club. Originally it started off as an anti-bullying initiative, but we were focusing on promoting peace and positivity. So there's going to be a follow-up on that in May, but through that task force, The school department has embraced the Choose Love curriculum with the 4 different pillars. And the final pillar is compassion in action. So I'm going to be looking to work with Dr. Malone. This is your warning. Global Youth Service Days is April 17th through the 19th. So that Friday right before April vacation, can we have every single student participating in a community service initiative, whether it's writing letters to soldiers, cleaning up the schoolyard, making something for seniors, but really challenging the youth to step up.
Right, right. Boy, that's great. And I would imagine that once a young person gets involved in an activity such as that, it gives them a little bit of self-satisfaction that maybe I'm making a difference for somebody else. Maybe what I'm doing here is worthwhile.
In introducing that at a younger age, so that by the time they reach the middle school in their civics lessons, or the high school with the service learning and Project Red and Black,
Right.
they'll have 12 years of experience rather than only 2.
Last time before today that you and I saw each other, as I mentioned, it was at a meeting of Partners for a Healthier Community, and you delivered a brief report from the table of some of the things that you were involved in. I said, we got to get this guy on Family Focus. How did we ever let him slip through our fingers?
Caller ID.
That's right. But you are involved in so many different initiatives and doing some great things that I would imagine that people who are watching this program are hearing about for the very first time, because a lot of it happens, a lot of it is public events where the accomplishments of young people are recognized, but a lot of it happens sort of under the radar too. We have less than a minute, but you were involved, I believe, in the effort to have candidates for office come to an audience of youth, and they submitted questions and had them make commitments for the youth. And again, we have very little time.
Okay, so that's going back to youth voice and youth empowerment. So we had the Youth and Candidates Night back last October, in which the candidates heard directly from the youth what their issues, what their challenges, but what supports are in their lives.
Right.
And all the candidates made a 1-minute pledge on something they would do to support that. So now our next step is to follow up and have more of a dialogue
Right.
with youth leaders and key stakeholders in the community, not just the elected officials, and how we can all work together on addressing those issues, not just talk about those issues, but taking those action steps.
Christian, thank you so much for doing this.
My pleasure.
It's been long awaited, and I'm glad that you found the time. We thank you. Christian McCloskey, the Youth Services Coordinator for the City of Fall River. And thank you very much for hanging with Christian and myself, and for watching Family Focus. And until next time, take care. Bye-bye.